Hey everybody, this is Chosen, again with Focus Fire, bringing another gameplay guide, and this one is about map awareness and the conclusions that you can draw from your map awareness. Now before we jump right into this topic, I linked in the description a thread from TeamLiquid.net. It's an article written by somebody named XDaunt, and it's a really good Hero League 101 written guide. Tons of useful and easy to understand information. I definitely recommend checking it out. So I'm going to show you some examples of map awareness, or how you can apply it and come up with really good conclusions as to where the enemy is or what they might be up to. Alright, so let's look at this situation. As you can see from our perspective, we only see Sonya on the map, and all three enemy lanes are pushing into our base really well, so we have very little vision. So let's look at the mini-map and look at the current situation and make a conclusion. Where could the enemy be? It's all about getting in the enemy's head and thinking about what you would do in their situation if you were making the most of your time. It's always about being efficient with your time, so take any advantage that you can when the opportunity presents itself. So what would a good opponent do in this situation? They have most of the map in their vision, so they know they're safe because they can see us clearing their minion waves. They're 3 levels ahead, so where could they be? There's only 2 places that they could possibly be going for an advantage. One would be the bruiser camp on our side of the map, or the boss. Now, if you were them and you were 3 levels ahead, wouldn't you go for the boss right now? It's not that greedy of a move. They can see if we're coming, and with a huge 3-level advantage, there's almost no way we'd win a team fight, even if we got there in time. So when your map looks like this, you can probably assume that they're taking the boss. I mean, when you're that far ahead, who wouldn't? Now, another really good idea when it comes to map awareness is before you get into a fight, look at the map. You should not feel safe when you don't see enemies visible on the map. They could be anywhere, waiting in a bush to attack you, so face-checking bushes, especially when you're 2 levels down like this, is very dangerous. Now, they were stealing our Merc camp, so we do catch them 2v3, and although we're 2 levels behind, a 2v3 is pretty favorable. However, we're going to almost immediately back off instead of pursuing. It's pretty easy in this situation to get all hyped up for some free kills, right? Like, hey, they're on our side of the map stealing our mercs, so we're gonna make them pay. They're already like 70% health, we could totally take these guys 2v3. But we do know that there's no other enemies visible on the map. And a rule you should make for yourself is, if all of the other enemies are unaccounted for, you should assume that they're coming to aid their allies right now, and that they could show up any second and 5v3 you. So we start chasing, but then immediately when one other person shows up, we back off, because chances are their last 2 members of their team are going to show up and completely wreck us. Especially in this situation where we're 2 levels behind, backing off was the right call, because we almost certainly would have been slaughtered if we pursued any longer. Now here's a situation where, again, we have pretty good vision on the map, and not a single enemy is visible, and one of them is dead. So we can easily assume that they are doing this Merc camp, so we take this opportunity to try to ambush them. Now, do you think this conclusion is right? Just looking at the minimap, you haven't seen any visible enemies for a while. There's only one current objective they could possibly be at. There's no other Merc camps available, there's no map objectives available, so they're pretty much certainly going to be taking this Merc camp. Of course, the more experienced you are and the better your map awareness, the more obvious these conclusions become, but in this situation, I am 100% positive that they are going for this Merc camp, so I try to signal to my team that we should go ambush them while they have a player down, because we catch them in a 5v4 situation with their pants down. And that's how I like my opponents best, with their pants down. Unfortunately, our false stod was not there in time, so we have to back off and play it safe. Good map awareness can also help you conclude when the enemy is going for a risky objective like the boss. Shortly after we took our boss, there was a little bit of a skirmish. Illidan and Zeratul died and their Nova died, so they're up a player. They have a small advantage. Now, I know that the only person visible on the map right now is Anub'arak, so I conclude that, hey, they're gonna say, 2 of the opponents are down, we should go for our boss now. This is a good opportunity. But I'm aware of this, so I pinged my teammates to go there. So just by looking at the minimap and seeing no players or 1 player visible for such a long period of time, we were able to figure out they were doing the boss. So we make it there to try to contest the boss, but unfortunately we didn't make it in time to actually steal the boss. But our map awareness is still going to pay off, because we caught the enemies wounded from battling the boss. A lot of the time the boss will do a lot of damage to players, and they will use valuable basic ability cooldowns to try to speed up killing the boss, so you might catch them with cooldowns not available even, and wounded. And like severely underpaid but passionate janitors, we were able to clean up the entire enemy team quite quickly. So as you can see, a little bit of map awareness goes a long way. If we showed up there even 10 seconds later, that might not have worked out so well for us. And the reason we knew they were going to do a boss is because of how far pushed on our side of the map we were. It was a perfect opportunity almost, but we reacted quickly enough to make them pay for it. Now, that's some late game map awareness, but what about early or mid game map awareness? As you can see, our Tyrande is pushed up quite far on the map, but he's doing a good job of staying at max range to soak the minions that die. So mostly he's just soaking. But look at the map. We do have vision from the watchtower in the middle of the map. And thanks to this watchtower, we clearly have vision on the Uther and the Diablo heading his way. But he had a lapse in map awareness, and he didn't notice in time that the enemies were approaching, and he's going to pay dearly for it. So, although it is hard to always look at the minimap, and, you know, we didn't have vision of the Diablo and Uther for a very long period of time, but even when you're pushed up and you're maybe poking at an enemy in a lane 1v1, always try to keep an eye on the map, because that certainly would have saved him if he noticed them a little bit sooner on the map. So a good general rule to follow is that if you are pushing up in an unsafe place, and you look at your minimap and you don't see at least 3 or 4 players on the map somewhere, you should always assume that they're coming to kill you. Even if they're not, just assume the worst. That's the safest way you can play. Now here's another situation where our Tyrande is playing a little too ballsy. We don't have a wall, it's already been destroyed right to our left, our wall and our fort is gone. So this is risky to be pushed out this far. We recently saw the enemies take that watchtower in the middle, and we only see one visible enemy far away and another visible enemy close. So that is 3 enemies unaccounted for. So the enemy does have merc camps available on their side of the map. We could assume that they're going for those merc camps, but like I said earlier, it's a general good rule of thumb to assume the worst. If you are not in a safe location, if you're pushed up and exposed at all, always assume that they're coming to gank you. Because more often than not, that is going to be the case. And as you can see, our Tyrande is going to pay dearly for his unsafe play. Now, of course, everybody has a lapse in judgment and nobody has flawless map awareness, so this happens to the best of us at times. Sometimes you have to push up, sometimes it's beneficial to push a lane and put pressure on the enemy, but your map awareness can save you from these nasty ganks in situations like this. And one last little tip before I conclude this video, look out for these little swinging bags. Some maps have these objects that characters can bump into and cause them to swing. So, I don't know if you know this yet, but you can actually see them swinging through the fog of war. So these can actually give away enemy players' locations if they bump into them. You can actually just see them swinging through the shroud. They're also a pretty good giveaway whenever a stealth character is trying to be sneaky. Notice how this bag gets knocked. That was because an enemy Nova was sneaking there, and our Illidan didn't notice that swinging bag. And now he's going to pay the price and lose those 5 coins, unfortunately. But anyway, guys and gals, that is it for this video. I hope some of you found it useful at least. Don't forget to share it with your friends and subscribe and all that jazz, and don't forget to check out previous videos. Thanks for watching, and peace out.